Okay, I think I'm recording. This is, I tried this before. I'm gonna have to make a new uh, video because it didn't work so well. I'm gonna try to be calm and organized. This video demonstrates that when we have a discount rate, and we're making a monthly model. We're making a monthly model, but we only pay debt service every 6 months or every quarter or something like that. Well, then we have to use this formula where you take the annual discount rate divided by 2 if it's a 6 months, 4 if it's a quarter, raise it to 1/6, 1/3 power, and so forth, and minus 1 if it's monthly. We just raise it to the 12th power, I think. Don't know. Just a minute. If I got that right, actually, we'll check. I have to modify that formula. So here's the outline of how I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a monthly analysis. This should take 2 minutes, hopefully. Then we'll convert exactly the same data using a lookup function into a semi-annual model, and we'll show you a little trick on how to do a few of these conversions. And then we'll make a monthly model. And again, it's not very difficult. It's just using a different kind of interest rate. Okay, and finally, this is what we really want to do. We want to make a periodic model. And in our periodic model, we're going to create a little debt service account that accumulates all the money until you pay debt service in certain periods. Okay, and then once you pay, you release the account, and you keep building up the account and releasing the account. Just kind of a monthly analysis. And then when we do, in this case, our monthly analysis, I think this was a 6-month, we pay every 6 months. This will show you a little formula so that the sculpting analysis, pretending you didn't already do a separate semi-annual analysis, the sculpting analysis produces exactly the same here. That's the same debt as this one in this semi-annual period. Now, I suppose you could have done a separate semi-annual period, but what we really want to do is only do this kind of monthly analysis where we set up the whole account, and we'll have a little debt balance that checks everything out. Okay, so this will be lesson 4 of the sculpting analysis, and I suppose I should do, no, we'll fix that a formula that I probably got wrong for the monthly analysis just above. So let's begin. If I press Control down, that's monthly, annual versus semi-annual. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is do a little bit of exercise on the Shift Control R. If I put a 6% growth rate in, and I have a different DSCR requirement. If these were deleted now, if I press Shift Control R, it looks up, and it goes all the way up to here and looks for the longest column. If I wanted to limit that, I could limit it 2 different ways in the thing. What if I limited it to 5 periods here, and then I said, or 5 rows. Now I do Shift. It doesn't look up. It only looks up 5 rows. Alternatively, if I said, okay, well, let's keep it on. This was supposed to be the 20. I said 5. I'm gonna have to redo it. Excuse me. Shift Control R. It still does that. Now I could do that another way. I could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If any time the row is 5 or less, I'm just gonna copy only that row. Sometimes I want to copy short rows, and that's what this this shortest column for the thing does. So if I put it back to 20 for both of these, Shift Control R, it goes all the way to 20. Okay, so since we're let's put it to just look up 5 rows here, and even only 3 rows, because what we're going to do is we're going to always switch to semi-annually and all of this stuff. Okay, and hopefully this will look up in the correct number of rows. Okay, so here's our growth rate. Now this time I put a different debt service. Let's put 1.1. So we have a low debt service coverage perhaps in the first year because we have expecting low debt. Revenues, of course, we divide these out. I don't know if I have to do that. Shift Control R. Now, right now, I have a different interest rate index. For now, I'm going to keep that interest rate the same. No, I'm going to press. Did I? Alright. Shift Control R. And then Shift Control S is what you do to undo it. I hope Shift Control Z didn't work. It better not have. Okay. Now, if we have different interest rates, what we do is instead of using the old okay, shit. Just a minute. Damn. You know, I promised not to swear. I just had to fix the Shift Control R again. I'm going to have to upload the stupid generic macros for the umpteenth time. This Shift Control R to get it exactly right is a little bit of a pain. I did it the whole thing in breakfast with just one breakfast, and then it turned out to be harder than I thought. Now, of course, this is so boring to make the opening balance equals the closing balance, and we take our debt service and minus the interest, and the closing balance is the difference, and we can select this and test our model. Okay, so that worked with different interest rates and different debt service coverage ratios. Now, if we wanted to make a semi-annual model, let's redo this. This is Alt-EIS, and go to, since it's semi-annually, we're only going to go to 10. Okay, and the year here, now, what I did is I said, this is period in the year. We have the first semi-annual, the second, first, second, first, second. What I did here is first put mod of this or 2. With a comma 2. And if you do that, it goes 1, 0, 1, 0. Now, what you could do is say, well, if the mod is 0, then that's like saying if it's not 0, then we put mod of this one or 2. Otherwise, we just put in 2. Okay, and then it'll give us our 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, instead, I could put 2 here, and I made a function. And in this function to do that, I'm sorry if you think this is a digression, too bad, no swearing. And this is, instead, I just put a function. I said year period. This is the period of the year. How about this? Period of year. I think that is a little better. And then period of year equals the period, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, divided by this timing. So this could be 12 if it's monthly, 2 in our case. And then if the period of the year is equal to 0, just make it the timing itself. So what we do here is we put equal period of year down here. Now, if you forgot where to get these, you press Shift F3, and it says, well, put this here, and then you put the period of the year. Okay. Now, probably I'll go go back and do it my old way, especially since I just screwed it up. Period of the year. Oh shoot. I'm almost about to pause the video. I will. Okay, I just haven't retyped period of year. Typical kind of mistake that I and only I make, maybe. Okay. Now that will, in a minute, that will count to 12 or count to 4 if it's quarter and so forth like that. And then we just put our old round up to figure out what year we are. Take this period and divide it by the 2, and then put a comma 0, and it will just, I hope, count the number of years. So that's our year, and then our cash flows are just the lookup. I'll do one of these lookup, and we'll look up on the year. That's why we need the year, because we're going to go up to the annual data and get the year, control spacebar, and then get the cash flows. And then when we're finished, let's divide it by this thing here. Actually, the thing I just made could be easily changed to be a quarterly or annual, and then we do the same thing. We just get the DSCR, but this one we don't divide by 2. Of course, divide this by that, and then the interest index we do divide by 2. Okay. Making it all flexible. And then the interest rate index, we multiply this by 1 plus the discount rate, the semi-annual interest rate now. And this again is the sum product of the cash flows, or the target debt service, divided by the interest rate. So we've got changing interest rates in all this, and then the opening balance equals the closing balance goes to 0. And then let's do the monthly one now. I took this away, so what we'd have to do is put period of year, period of year, and remember Shift F3 just to see that you put the period of the year, and then you say, well, this is going to be a timing of 12 years. And then we press OK, and then we have a nice thing that goes from 1 to 12, 1 to 12, 1 to 12. After years and years, I never did that one. I think that's cool. I'm sorry if you think it's all boring. And then this is the roundup, and again, we can be flexible here. Okay. And let's say this is quarterly, meaning we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be period in year. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got 4 quarters for the first year, 4 quarters for the second year. If this was semi-annually, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. What was 4 for the quarters, and 12 for the months. And then this, I'm not going to do this again. This was our lookup function. So this time we just looked up, and in the second year we have a little bit of changing cash flows. We have the changing DSCRs, the changing debt service and interest rate. Why don't I divide this by the factor? Okay. And finally, the discounting factor. So this says we have a little bit of a different debt. We have in the annual, we have less debt. In the semi-annual, we're able to raise more debt than in the annual period. I think exactly why that little bit of extra debt comes is because of compounding of the interest. I believe that semi-annual doesn't compound the interest, or the fact that we pay it early or something like that. Sorry, I don't know that enough. If we made this 4, well, we'd have to stop the cash flow after the right year, but so I'm not going to do that right now, but essentially it will all work. Okay, so that's all this is. Now, here's what we're going to do with this one. We don't need this. Okay, we made another monthly analysis, but this monthly analysis is different. So this 12 means it's monthly, months included in the year, so that means it's a monthly model. Hope that's okay. Now, in this, how about we'll make it annual? So we'll do this. Now, what I did is just made a 1 LTIS enter, and we go to 60 periods. Okay, and then here we say, well, we're going to pay the debt off every 12 months. So just put this, we'll just put equal mod again, this of the periods, okay, equals 0. When our remainder is equal to 0. Remember, every 12th period, our remainder is equal to 0. So if we make this a payment period every 6 months, we just have 6. If we make it every 12 months, every 1 month, we get a true. If we ever make it every 4 months, we'll get a quarterly analysis. Look at how I get the quarters wrong, okay? Let's put it back to 12 just to make it easy. Then this is period of the year, and since this is monthly, we're just going to take this one and go to the monthly that. So this just goes from 1 to 12 to 1 to 12 to 1 to 12 again. That function is pretty nice. You're going to get furious with me now, but I like this period of the year function, so I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in the generic macros. Now in the generic macros, because I got an email from somebody, they said put all your functions in just a different module, as if that's so mysterious to do it. Maybe it's a good little idea to do. Somebody suggested it. Okay, it's not like it's advanced Excel or anything like that. Okay, so now let's go to the next one, and again we're going to make a round up function the same way. I don't think I have to go over that. That's just going to be taking, that says we're in year 1, we're in year 2, we're in year 3, and now for the interest rate, we have a changing interest rate. Okay, and I'm going to, on this one, just for momentarily, let's put this interest rate back to 5%. Shift Control R. Control Z doesn't work. Maybe I should have made it Shift Control Z instead of Shift Control S. What do you think? I think this. That, for me, is a big innovation. If you want to clear it, since I put it new, I just put the Shift Control S to undo and then Shift Control M to get rid of that little. I wonder if Shift Control Z. I think that's what it's going to be. I'm going to have to change it, of course. Okay. Where was I? Okay, so the interest rate is just flat. This is simply the lookup of the interest. Maybe we'll do it. Lookup. Again, I'm looking in the annual data, so we'll go to the year, and then we'll go up to the annual data, shift on the year, and shift on the interest rate, and divide that by this monthly factor, not the other one. Be careful, I've got 2 monthly flat factors. Shift Control R is still working. This one I'm not going to use right now for a minute. Now, we will do the same thing. I'm going to apologize for being a little bit repetitive here, but I'm going to get the annual cash flows, okay? And we're going to divide that again by this kind of just statement that says we're doing a monthly analysis. The target DSCR I don't have to get anymore. It's the same thing. And then the target debt service is, of course, the amount you divide. Now, the problem is we're not going to pay this debt service each period. We're going to just pay it in our special little monthly periods. Okay, and so the amount we're going to pay is actually this number times, and this time be careful, it's not this 12, it's this 12. We're going to pay it, that's the amount we're going to pay each year. If I shift control R, if I change it, I'm saying shift control R a lot because well, I want you to get used to it. If there's no other macro in all my macros that you use, I think that's the one. Maybe the color shift control C is a good one too. I think you don't maybe like it. I made it a lot more flexible, so you can use your own coloring schemes and you could adjust it yourself. Digressing again, sorry. Now, here's the trick. We're going to make a little debt service account. Now, this is the total amount of debt service we need. So if I take this total debt service and I subtract how much is in the opening balance of the account, that's how much we still have to put in there. And the opening balance is equal to the closing balance last time. And then we take our cash flows. Don't take the debt service. Take the total cash flows and put them in. But we're not going to take the total one. We're going to take the minimum of this or the amount we need to put in, because eventually we'll fill up this account. So and then finally, see how much is released. We're going to, on the days on which we have to actually pay the interest, let's just, on these days, multiply that by the amount that's in opening balance plus the amount that you've taken so far. That's the amount of debt service we're actually going to pay. And the closing balance is the opening balance plus the cash flow, blah, 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 blah. So, now, let's just put our target debt service here. I think I've got these kind of backwards. How about I'm going to insert a line. Okay. On these kind of things, when people still use the mouse on these kind of things, I almost get irritated. But I shouldn't. Because they're not lazy enough. You just got to be damn lazy. That's my rule. Okay. Oh, I swore. Sorry. The target debt service is the cash flow we have, and we just put that in. That's really the target debt service over a semi-annual period. Now, if you would try to take this target debt service and figure out how much, this is like our monthly model debt service, isn't it? This is our monthly model, and there's our target debt service here, When we did all of this analysis in the monthly model, we came out with 370. Okay, let's just show you what happens. If you would use, let's put a debt balance check. Let's put the opening balance and less the repayment and the closing balance. Now, if we used this, because the fact is we're not paying it in the middle, if we pretended we're paying all this stuff monthly, like this thing has, that doesn't work. Okay, so we can't just take the monthly interest rate. We'll show you why it doesn't work just in a minute. Here's the debt service we're paying. Okay, and then we have to subtract the interest. So let's do this. And the interest we're paying is the opening balance multiplied by, and now be careful, we've got to take the, I guess this rate times the periods. Oh, I'm in semi-annual all of a sudden. Okay. And we only pay that interest at the debt service period. Okay. So we do this, and then oops. Ah, crap. Okay, just a minute. Well, that wasn't that bad. This time, what I did is, I remember we had changed the numbers in the lookup. So I said, oh, we got to change that back to 10 and implement it, and then it copied. So that was a good error. Now if we do this, we didn't pay off the debt at the end of our period. We have this kind of fatal flaw. We can make that lookup test. If I use this number, which I haven't told you how I'm getting yet, still didn't pay it off. Okay, gotta fix that. Just a minute. Just 1 minute. Let me test it out so I don't waste your time. Okay, that was not a bad mistake at all. We had the set to 6. Let's say set it to 12. Now, if we would set it to 12, here's what happens. If I look at the closing balance and the the tenor of the debt in years. Whoops. Okay, was 5. Okay, and then we tenor of the debt in months is this times the first 12, and then we say our test. Let's look up. Okay, and look up this 60 against. I could have done that one, but this is a lot more accurate, and we'll look at it in the closing balance. We have 5 left over. Now, the reason we have 5 left over is this was now annual, and if we go back to the kind of annual thing, now it just exactly works. To do this, let's just be careful. I think here's my suggestion now. If you select this area, let's select this area, and let's call it let's name it arrange our format area. Okay, and then let's go to the conditional formatting and make a new rule and use a formula and put on this one, let's put when this number in the F4 twice is equal to true, let's format it as some kind of light fill. Okay, and then let's put OK. Now what we can do is we can go to conditional formatting and manage the rules and make sure it says this workbook. And for this one, let's just put, I hope that's what we did. And then oops, that color was kind of not very good because it's the same color I used for inputting, but what the heck. So if we go now, here's the bad thing about that. If you go to the conditional formatting and manage the rules and change this, it didn't leave the range name in there. That's what I really wanted it to do, and I can't figure out how to change that yet. Okay, but that's once you figure out how to change that, that'll make this whole conditional formatting business a whole lot better. Okay, so in this period, this was our we have our debt service, and in this period, in our debt service account, we paid 90 of debt service, and we also paid 18 of interest and 75 of repayment. So all we're doing in this monthly model is kind of like the annual model. Here's the debt service, and here's the interest payment and the monthly payment. That's why I thought that this, if you thought it was a gimmick too bad, I think it'll help us to just kind of verify the stuff. Now here's the big trick. On this, if we take this interest rate, that's a flat interest rate, and we put 1 plus, and you go up to the kind of the flat interest rate. Okay, I don't know why I did that. And then you divide that by the number of periods. That's 12 divided by the number of periods. And then you raise this to the 1 divided by 12 power, and then finally put minus 1. That's what you have to do. It's kind of that, in that sense, all that is computing the effective monthly discount rate. So that's an easy one. And then if you do the same kind of thing we did, which was to say, okay, let's take this number and multiply it by 1 plus the interest rate we did, okay, that's the monthly interest rate we did. And now you put some product, and you take all of the debt service, all of this target debt service, which only happened in those kind of special periods, and then you divide it by our monthly factor. You get exactly the same number. So this, and then let's just make sure our test works. That's brilliant. And let's just do it now for a payment year of 6. And actually, it looks like that interest rate's just the same. And we get a higher amount of debt because we brought the debt service forward. At least I understand why it's higher mathematically. And we can test this against the semi-annual. We still get the correct kind of sculpting. And if we put this as 1, then we're paying it in each period. Why? I had to go back and forth one page to get the conditional formatting to work. Blame this on Microsoft, which I think is now an evil company. That's neither here nor there. And we get the correct answer. Now, the only thing we have really left to do is let's put this back to 12. And then, see, we have to go back 1 to fix it. And once we put it back to 12, let's get this periodic interest rate right now. Now, if I put it to 12 and I attempted to create a formula, and what we essentially have to do is let's first just put this formula in each period. Now, if we just looked up the interest rate and divided it by 12, that wouldn't work. But if instead of dividing it, if we look up the interest rate, and then we have, well, let's take 1 plus the interest rate, okay, this is the annual interest rate, okay, so far. Uh-oh, why did that come up? Okay, so that's our 5% interest rate. And let's kind of look up the formula. That's the interest rate. Now we divided the interest rate by the periods per year, this thing, okay, which is still 12. But then we raised it to the power. We took the whole thing and raised it to the power 1 divided by the payment period, which is F4. Okay, and then finally we subtracted 1. And then if I press Shift Control R, we get the right number. Now what we could do here is then go to our little formula, and we go back and multiply that by 1 plus the this interest rate. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this one. This is something I had tried, and I like the approach we just did better. Okay, and press Shift Control R, we still get the same amount, same number. Let's just make sure it really works with 6 months. Okay, and it didn't. Ugh, very close. Let's see what happens if we put 12 months. See, it didn't work. Just a minute. This is 4074. Okay, I made some silly mistake. Let me pause. Okay, that was a... You probably saw the error. The interest, we should put a different interest rate for interest expense. We have kind of two things to do. This one, okay, even the annual. So this is again lookup. It's good. We get to use the lookup again. How wonderful! And just look up on the year and look up on the interest rate, and simply divide that by the just a minute, which one do we divide it by? I think we divide by this one, right? Because then when I computed the interest rate in our interest calculation, we took, let's just do that again. We took the opening balance, let's multiply that by the interest rate, and also multiply it by the period factor, and then we need to multiply it by this one. Okay, and then we get our balance correct. Okay, and then let's try it with 6 months. I'll review what I did just in a minute. Okay, and it didn't work for 6 months period. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause again. Okay, apologies again for this one. Didn't have the sound off. I was afraid I had the sound off. So now let's put 12 in here, and if we put 12 in here, we get 0 closing balance. If we put 6 in here, we still get 0 closing balance. If we put 12 in here, 1 in here, excuse me, we have this horrible little problem, and we still get 0 closing balance. So it works. So what we had to do here is make a fancy little compounding or decompounding formula. And when we had the 12 periods, it didn't even make any difference. It was the same period. Interesting. And what we did here was I just took this number, divided by the 12 months because we've got a 12-month period. Okay, I can't remember where it really was before that rude person calling me. Now, here we had this complicated formula. 1 plus the interest rate divided by the green one, the periods, the 1 divided by the periods per year, we raise that to the 1 divided by 1 power. So we're finally to that last question. This is just the monthly interest rate. If it's monthly, we do take out the compounding, so that formula is correct. Okay, and then to summarize, it's kind of all working. So that shows you how to go through kind of a monthly model with sculpting, and the only really hard part is getting this formula right, which I could never remember. I'd have to kind of open this spreadsheet and go and double check it. Okay. There certainly could be another way to do it. Perhaps if we just took the target debt service and applied a different discount rate to it, I think we could get the same answer, but we have to be careful that this 370 is different. If we have let's put quarterly, okay? Oops. Okay, and then, so if we have a quarterly payment, it goes down to 0, and we're paying off the debt every single quarter. So I think there was a lot really in here. Okay, now what I haven't done yet, and the next step, but I'm in Paris. I'm going to go to a cafe. I'm probably going to have a glass of wine. I don't know if I should say that. I hope that doesn't offend anybody. And the next step is to address these difficult circular reference issues. So we're going to put circular reference and interest income. Okay, and well, I'm gonna do it maybe with a complicated one like this, but let's first do it like we always should with a simpler case. Okay, so that's it. Remember, when I save the file, it's gonna be it's the sculpting exercise, and it's gonna be in the part number 2. Oops, of the it's going to be in the project finance modeling exercises. Okay, and that's that.